Have you seen one of the cruise piers in Skagway, Alaska is closed due to rock slides? Don't be surprised if your cruise gets diverted from this port. We went on the White Pass Railway in Skagway and really enjoyed it. If you get diverted, come along with us now to experience this amazing ride. Hi everybody, and welcome back to my Alaska cruise series. Today we are going to show you our adventure on the White Pass Railway in Skagway, Alaska. If you find this video helpful or enjoyable in any way, please do give it that thumbs up and do consider subscribing. It's free to you, but it means the world to me. Thanks, let's get started. As many of you already know, one of the main piers in Skagway is now closed for the rest of the 2022 season. This is because of rock slides. When we were there, we did notice the big, huge mesh of wire holding back the rocks right by the pier where we docked. If you're familiar with this pier, it's the one with all of the cruise line markings on the rocks where cruise ships, when they get there for their first time, they paint the wall with their logo. As you watch this next clip, you'll see that the rock slide was captured real time, and you can see the extent of the damage and the safety hazards that this would obviously provide if they continued to have this pier opened and having cruise ships docked there. Since Skagway is a major stop on most of the Inside Passage cruises, you have a very, very strong chance that your itinerary is going to be altered, and you'll probably end up going to Icy Strait Point or Sitka in place of Skagway. This is really unfortunate for the cruisers to Alaska as well as the people in Skagway. This is going to impact their tourism quite a bit if this remains closed for the foreseeable future. That's why I wanted to make this video. For those that aren't going to be able to make it to Skagway, I'm going to take you along on our journey on the White Pass Railway so you can have that experience as well. Going back to that earlier footage, you'll see here where the actual boarding process is for the White Pass Railway. It is right by the ships that dock at that pier. You'll see that the locomotives, and then you'll see where it hooks up to the new train that comes down the mountain to let off the passengers and reboard for the next trip. For our day in port, it was a pretty nice day, and our train reservation was not until the afternoon, so we took time to go downtown. So I wanted to show you a little bit of the really small, really cool downtown with all the different shops and a lot of the gold rush type buildings that still exist there today. We had some time before boarding, so we stopped for lunch at the Skagway Fish Company, which I highly recommend. It's right there on the pier and right across the street from where you board the train. So as you can see, we had a really nice time. The guy behind us got the $89 crab legs, so if you want to splurge, they really looked like they were worth it. All we had to do was walk across the street from the restaurant, and that's where we boarded the train. As you can see, the rail cars are pretty authentic. Many of them have been restored to what they were in their heyday. They were quite comfortable, actually, and the train was not that full. As we made our way out of the downtown area, we went a little slowly, and as we got a little higher, you started to see some of the amazing scenery. And this river followed along the tracks most of the way up to the summit, and you'll see some really excellent views from the railway. You can see how thin these tracks are, and you can look straight down from the rail cars, and it's pretty amazing how thin these tracks were. And the guides told us how many people had actually fallen to their death, and even some of the horses and animals that were pulling up the supplies on the railway did not survive. You'll see that there are areas on the tracks where the train that's descending from the summit will pass you, and there'll be two train cars next to one another. This was really cool and gives you an idea of how you can go out in the back or the front of each car and actually see the wilderness and get some really good shots. You do start up the mountain fairly slowly, but you do start picking up some speed once the other train passes you and you're on one track again. One thing that we noticed when we're looking at these trees as we're going by is that there were scrapings on them pretty consistently. What we learned was that the bears actually scrape off the bark at night in an attempt to eat the insects inside of the bark. As we make our way further up the mountain, we begin to pick up a little speed, and we make a few turns here and there, and we begin to see some absolutely amazing scenery in the distance. At this point, the guides pointed out that if we looked into the distance and looked down into the bay, that was actually our cruise port where we started our journey. As we looked behind us, we began to realize the path that we had just taken, and we were about to approach one of the very large ravines and our first tunnel. This part of the railway obviously has seen better days, and this bridge was in such bad shape that they had to build a new one, and they also built a tunnel to go through that part of the mountain. You'll also see that I was able to stand outside and catch us going through the dark tunnel. It was very, very cool. At this point, we began to get close to the summit, so I wanted to take a look at the other side of the train and show you just how much work went into carving out these tracks and show you how close we were to the stone wall on the other side of the train. So with the snow piling up beside the train, we knew we were close to the summit. And then obviously, when we saw the Canadian flag and the marker between the US and Canada, we knew we had made it. And this is the guardhouse that is in the Canadian side. And once you pass this small little lake, you do make a turnaround. And then, as you can see, we start heading back down the same way we came. If your train car is not that full, you can now switch to the other side so you have the same views looking into the ravines and the mountains so that you can take even more photographs and enjoy the scenery on the way down. The way down the mountain was absolutely fantastic. You were able to sit back and relax and really enjoy some of the things that you saw when you were heading up to the summit. A few things that I will tell you about the train is that when you board, see if you can sit on the left-hand side of the car. That way you're going to have all of the fantastic views going up. If the train is not too crowded, as I stated earlier, you can switch to the other side so you can have that same view going down. Each car does have a cooler full of bottled water, and there is a bathroom in each of the cars. There's normally a luxury car attached to the train, which is the very last car, that is a very highly upgraded service with swivel leather chairs as well as your own guide, and it includes hors d'oeuvres, snacks, and cocktails. We had booked this several months prior to our cruise. However, 2 weeks before the cruise, they canceled the luxury car and we had to rebook in the standard cars. I hope you enjoyed this. I really did. And if your cruise does not stop in Skagway because of the pier closure, at least I hope I've given you the opportunity to experience just a little bit of what the White Pass Railway has to offer. Thanks everyone. If you found this video helpful or enjoyable in any way, please do give it the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. It really helps YouTube recognize the channel and allows me to create additional content for you. And always remember, when you're ready to book your next cruise, contact Deborah, my travel advisor. She'll be more than happy to help you finalize a perfect cruise vacation. Thanks again, and we'll see you again soon.